Good evening and welcome to the Evening News' Weekend Review for the week ending Saturday, January 12, 2018. I'm Shemuel Fanfare. Thanks for joining us. For the next 30 minutes, we will recap some of the top stories that were featured during the past week. We begin by telling you that government, through Attorney General Bassey Williams, on Monday filed a case in the High Court seeking for the court to hold the enforcement of the no-confidence resolution, while simultaneously applying for a conservatory order to allow the government to continue their role while the matter is being heard. More in this report. After filing a writ that sought to invalidate the no-confidence vote of ex-Alliance for Change member Charandas Prasad due to his dual citizenship, Attorney General Bassey Williams has kept his commitment to filing several cases against the resolution that effectively unseated the coalition government. In a fixed-date application filed today, the AG seeks relief under the Constitution by way of petitioning the court to grant several orders, with House Speaker Dr. Barton Scotland and Opposition Leader Barima Jack as the named respondents. Williams wants the court to rule on whether the Speaker's ruling on the December 21, 2018 motion was indeed carried by a majority of all elected members, and whether or not the 33 to 32 breakdown means it was validly passed. Moreover, Williams petitions the court to determine if the requisite majority ought to properly be 34 votes, and if the President and his ministers should remain in office, as the majority vote was not carried in keeping with Article 106.6 of the Constitution. He also wants the court to set aside or nullify Dr. Scotland's ruling, and is seeking for a stay on the resolution's enforcement, while at the same time wants the court to grant a conservatory order preserving the status quo of President David Granger and his government until the case is determined. Shemuel Fanfare, The Evening News. On Tuesday, reported that Chartered Accountant and Attorney Christopher Ram filed legal proceedings in the High Court to validate the recently passed no-confidence motion and have government comply with constitutional provisions to demit office and call elections no later than March of this year. Here are those details. As government continues to hold fast to its 34 majority argument as one of its justifications for not demitting office, attorney and outspoken political commentator Christopher Ram is asking the court to do just that, declare that the President and the Cabinet resign in keeping with Article 106 Part 6 of Guyana's Constitution. With the Attorney General and Opposition Leader as the named respondents, Ram wants the December 21, 2018 no-confidence motion declared by the court as properly valid and lawfully passed, adding that government should resign with convenient speed. The case further outlines that government should remain in office after the President takes the oath of office in 90 days, or an extended period as agreed by 2/3 of the National Assembly, as 106 Part 7 requires. Ram's legal argument makes it clear that elections must be held no later than March 21, and he is further seeking the court to declare that these proceedings be dealt with urgently. His grounds of appeal seeking relief under the Constitution state that government was defeated with 33 votes against 32, 80 days have passed and government has given no indication to resign, and that Cabinet's failure to resign could lead to uncertainty and constitutional crisis. Ram filed his writ this afternoon through attorney Kamal Ram Karan, who heads the Guyana Bar Association, a body which has already supported the validity of the no-confidence motion. Yesterday, government, through Attorney General Bassey Williams, filed a case in the High Court for the court to put on hold the enforcement of the no-confidence resolution. At the same time, Williams also applied for a conservatory order to allow for the government to continue in office while the matter is being heard. Shemuel Fanfare, The Evening News. The much-anticipated meeting between President David Granger and Opposition Leader Barima Jack on Wednesday was said to be a fruitful engagement, during which the two sides entered into agreements on several areas, including jointly approaching the courts to expedite the legal proceedings filed in reference to the no-confidence resolution, after the head of state insisted that his administration will continue to pursue the matters. Vanu Manachand has this report.
Speaking at a media briefing following this morning's meeting, which lasted nearly an hour and a half, Jagdeo told reporters that while they were hoping government would have withdrawn the legal proceedings filed, the head of state indicated that the coalition will continue to pursue the legal route as a remedy to the situation.
This legal remedy could take forever. That it could take maybe a year and what happens in the meantime? We would have defeated, first of all, the purpose of the Constitution, the intent of 106 and 107. That's one. And what if at the end of the year the court rules in our favor? or at the end of 2 years, the court says, yes, it was validly upheld. You don't get the timeline back. So we made it clear that this legal situation, we don't support it, but that's a reality. The government has said it will pursue it.
Against this backdrop, Jagdeo disclosed he suggested that the court be approached to expedite these matters.
That is one thing that I think we agreed on, that some approach could be made to the court jointly or through a public statement to have this matter expeditiously determined, since the government has insisted that it is going to pursue this remedy. It will not withdraw. So I expect if the courts see that, and they know this is a constitutional matter, and given what is happening in the region, we have had the CCJ meet over a weekend to resolve an issue. And you know, in several matters, we can deal with this issue continuously. This is not just an ordinary matter. This is a question of the Constitution, and also that a timeline imposed by the Constitution is ticking. And so the urgency that we're pushing for must have dawned, the need for that urgency must have dawned on the court themselves, that they have to deal with it expeditiously. And now they're getting the government and opposition saying, we want you to hear this expeditiously, continuously, expeditiously, get the hearing so we can move it and get that out of the way.
For Wednesday's highly anticipated meeting held at the Ministry of the Presidency, Jagdeo led the opposition's delegation, which included some of PPP's top-ranking members, most of whom are contending for the party's position of presidential candidate. These include Anil Nandlal, Frank Anthony, Gail Teixeira, and Irfan Ali, along with Wanejil, Pauline Sakai, and Odinga Lumumba. Meanwhile, the government's team, led by President Granger, included Prime Minister Moses Nagamutu, Government Chief Whip Amna Ali, Minister of State Joseph Harmon, Attorney General and Legal Affairs Minister Basil Williams, Foreign Affairs Minister Carl Greenidge, Natural Resources Minister Rafael Trotman, and Public Security Minister Kemraj Ramjatan. According to the opposition leader, during the meeting, the two sides had consensus on most of the issues on the agenda, while sharing the view that strong and mature actions from both the government and opposition is important to ensure the Constitution is respected and that confidence is given to the public about the country's future.
I share the President's view that it was a good meeting and that both sides shared the view that we want stability in our country. We want stability in our country. We don't want our country to go into a constitutional crisis. The President said he doesn't want Guyana to be seen as a failed state. He used the word failed state. We don't want this, because if we go past the constitutional deadline, that is where we're headed. And so we don't want that. We're glad that we had the meeting, although late, and we'll continue to work, hopefully together, to overcome some of these issues.
Reporting for the Evening News, Fanu Manikchand.
And still on that important engagement meeting, President David Granger announced that both parties will be engaging the Ghana Elections Commission to commence preparation for the hosting of elections. In fact, Government Chief Whip Amna Ali and Opposition Chief Whip Gail Teixeira were identified to meet with the elections body to determine their readiness for the impending polls. Here's Rupasuna Ryan with more.
President David Granger remarked on Wednesday, after discussions with the opposition leader, that engagements will be convened with GCOM in the near future so as to ascertain their level of preparedness for elections.
We have agreed that the two sides will continue to work together to engage GCOM to ensure that elections are held within the administrative capabilities of the Guyana Elections Commission.
While mentioning that the engagement was positive, concerns were raised about the current situation in the country. The President maintained that the interest of the general public remains of utmost concern.
We've had a successful engagement. Both the leader of the opposition and the President are concerned about the situation. We would like to assure the public in Guyana that we are working to a solution which they'll be satisfied with. The public interest is our paramount concern.
During today's meeting, senior government and opposition officials deliberated upon their next move at the Ministry of the Presidency after the opposition-sponsored no-confidence motion saw the collapse of the government on December 21, 2018. Even though less than 90 days remain in which elections must be held, the Guyana Elections Commission has made no significant move towards preparation to host the elections. Parties must also be registered and proportional representation list must be submitted. There has been no word on this, even though several new political parties have sprung up across the country. Meanwhile, a court case has been filed by a private citizen, Compton Herbert Reed, seeking to reverse the government's loss of the no-confidence vote and also seeking an extension of the 90-day stipulated time in which elections are constitutionally due when a no-confidence motion is passed. Charnas Prasad, a member of parliament who voted in favor of the motion to defeat the government, has since called for the administration to resign and call elections. Chairman of GCOM, retired Justice James Patterson, who was hospitalized last month, was expected to return on Tuesday to host a statutory meeting. On Tuesday, the Commission revealed that Patterson did not return as scheduled and in fact received an extension of his medical leave. Rupa Sinarain, The Evening News.
Thanks, Rupa. Let's take a quick break and we'll be right back for more of the Evening News' Weekend Review.